I run the product group for GreenSky. For those of you who don't know who we were founded in 2006. We're a fintech. Maybe you've heard of these types of companies. We do sales financing at the point of sale. That was a lot of words. But what we do is we provide loans for folks that are about to make a major purchase. We do this through a distribution network of approximately 17,000 merchants and elective healthcare providers. We've had the privilege of serving 2.6 million customers through our platform. And in serving those customers, we finance over $19 billion worth of transactions through the platform. Currently, we're managing about 8.2 billion. Billion here, billion there, it adds up to real money. So $8.2 billion of loans we're servicing on our platform right now on behalf of our bank partners. And we used to think of ourselves as a very small company, but now we have 1,200 associates that are located primarily in Covington, Kentucky, and then here in our headquarters in Atlanta. We create an ecosystem where the merchant, if you want a home improvement project, so say you want a deck, you want a kitchen, you want a new roof perhaps, the merchant can come to your house, they'll sit there right there with the kitchen table, and we put a loan platform on their phone, and within a matter of a minute or less, we can actually get you approved for a loan to pay for one of these projects. If anybody's ever done a major home improvement project, they can be pretty expensive. There's some sticker shock there. And these unsecured installment loans that we're putting in the hands of the customers within a minute, they let you now pay for it in an affordable manner. And then if you're doing the same thing with elective medical procedure, you can be in the office of some sort of procedure. We'll pick a random one, hair replacement. And why are you laughing? We'll keep going. And they can also offer you the same payment options. So we connect our customers and our merchants with our bank partners so everybody wins. The customer has the new deck and they can sit out there and enjoy the nice fall weather. I have a new head of hair. The merchants have sold more stuff and the banks have actually been able to issue more loans to customers through this whole ecosystem. So when they win, we win. And because of that, now we're on the right slide, we've been a very rapidly growing fintech company. We had our IPO about 18 months ago, which is very exciting. But in order for us to keep putting distance between us and the competition, we have to continuously be bringing products and features to market as fast as we can. And in addition, we have to support the functional areas in our company, like the operations, with giving them things like automation to make them more efficient. And what we lacked in doing all this was really good governance, really good process. And so in many cases, the way we got the ball across the goal line was just pure, stubborn willpower, grit, and brute force in some cases. And while I love that mentality, it's actually a wonderful mentality. I hope GreenSky never loses that because it's one of the things that makes us great, or a great place to work at. Without good governance, you can run into a lot of problems. One, probably our biggest problem, is we were a waterfall shop. So we work really hard on making waterfall better, faster, leaner, if you will. But the problem is waterfall and it lacks agility. If waterfall was agile, do you know what they would call waterfall? It's agile. And it's not. Two, because it's a waterfall project, you start out kind of very traditional. You have requirements, and then you have design, and then you have development, and QA, and UAT, and then finally, you make it to the promised land of production where your project gets to see the light of day. And when we do those types of projects, you have the business engaging at two places. You have them coming in over here at the requirements, and then they go back and do the business, and we do all of our stuff, and we get to UAT after months of coding and testing, and we get everybody in a room, and we show off the software. And at the end of the demo, we're like, what do you think? What do you think? In the business, we're waiting for them to give us, the attaboy, and they're like, huh. We really love the effort here. This was great effort, but this is not quite what I wanted to do. And you can feel the air being sucked out of the room. It's really demoralizing. But what we need to do is, if you actually got this one or two other things in there, it'll be fine. So what do? We make phase 2. And we'll call that 30 days, and we're gonna work as hard as we can to get the square peg into the round hole and then get the product shipped. But the problem now is the product we were gonna ship today isn't shipping for a month. So predictability is going out the door. And the project we were gonna start tomorrow is also a month delayed. We haven't even written a business requirement yet, and it's a month delayed. And so now predictability is this huge butterfly effect of unpredictability that is now rippling through the organization. In order to fix that, we have this hero mentality now that develops, and all of our best and brightest, the most senior people, they swoop in and they work as hard as they can to take those 30 days and make them, we'll call it 7. And the only way you can do that at this point is everybody's working nights, everybody's working weekends, and everybody's working holidays. We used to have this morbid joke about what you're gonna be working on for the 4th of July. It was morbid, but in more cases than not, it was true. And then what do we wanna do? We wanna improve the process while we're doing this. So what do we go back and we say, we're going to redouble our efforts on requirements. No stone will be left unturned. No edge case will be left undocumented. And now requirements takes a little bit more time, which is less stuff coming to the market quickly. And then, this is my favorite part, I get this requirements document and I go to the business, and this thing looks like War and Peace. And I set it on their desk, and you drop it and you let it make that thud for effect. And we're like, all right, I need you to review this and sign off on it, and we will get the project rolling. And the business, what they do, they go in, they get a cup of coffee. They will clear their day, they'll clear the next day, and they will thoughtfully start turning every page. And they will read. I'm lying to you. They do not do that. What they do is they read the first page, maybe the second page, and they're like, great, looks great, get it going. Because now, they just need the products to ship. We're focused on outputs and not outcomes. And that creates this vicious circle where it just keeps getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And what I'm describing now is the happy path. 2 other things are happening to us that are causing problems. The first one is sometimes things will go bump in the night. Something will break in production, and we need to fix it. Everybody has this. It's not unique to us. And we would take a couple developers off a project. We say, go fix this. Take a week, get it done, get it into prod, and then get back to your project. But we lack transparency. So that would happen, and most of the people wouldn't know. And the way we figured it out is we missed a milestone. And then now I've got project managers running all over the place, trying to figure out what happens. It takes a day or 2 to sort it out. And once we figure it out, everybody agrees we should have fixed it, but we didn't do it proactively. It was a reactive process. And instead of me being able to go to the business and say, hey, something broke, it's gonna take about 4 days to fix, and you're gonna be off by 4 days, we just told them that after the fact, they don't have a choice, they can't react to it. And we lack the transparency there. The other piece is, on the flip side of that coin, is we, like I said, we're a very rapidly growing business, we still are. And when opportunity knocks, if you want to stay rapidly growing, you seize that opportunity. When that opportunity knocks on the door, you open it up and you break bread. And so when that happens, this is probably the most demoralizing thing and really causes the most stress, is you have to pivot. And like I said, waterfall is not agile. So waterfall does not pivot gracefully. And we'll be 2 months into a development cycle, and now we got to go and tear out all of this development, put it on the shelf over here, get the environments ready, start a new project with the team, and go to get this new #1 priority. We used to joke we had all sorts of prioritized lists of #1 priorities. And they would go and they would do this, and then when we were done, we would take the code back off the shelf, put it back into the dev environment, and keep going. But the trick is you can't do that because the environments have changed because you've now deployed more and more code. So what do? You have to retrofit everything. You're going back, you're making sure it works in the environment, you're making sure that you've debugged it, and it's super inefficient, and we never knew it was coming, but it always happened to us. So we all decided there had to be a better way. Enter Leading Agile. We get everybody together in the business. We get the product, IT, business, Leading Agile, and we figure out how is our delivery system failing us. And we came up with 4 things. We actually came up with a ton of things, but these were the top 4. We needed incremental delivery. We needed the big things to be small. We needed predictability. What we said we were going to do, we need to do it when we said. We need to shorten the cycle time, so we need to figure out the things that used to take us a long time just because they're complex and make them less complex. And then the best part, we need transparency top to bottom. So we came up with the action plan. First thing we did is we aligned our teams directly with the business and functional areas. And this is a little bit different how we did it than most of the Agile I've seen, in that the teams did not support a product. The product was actually the business. So the sales group got a team. So compliance got a team. Fraud got a team. Credit, I feel like Oprah. You get a team, and you get a team, and you get a team. Everybody gets a team. And then what we did is we aligned everything that they needed to do for the year. We created a roadmap. We then aligned all the intent, we made sure it was well-defined, and now we had visibility into what we needed to do. And we reviewed these roadmaps with the business every other week. So if something new came, when opportunity knocked on that door, we could pivot. We put a new number one in there, and we could move the other one down, and everybody saw it happening. The thing here is we also had to spend a lot of time and effort doing what I call air traffic control. And what that means is when you have a team that can support the business, they can develop up and down the stack. They can do presentation layer, they can do service layer, they can do database, they can do it all. But if you have 3 teams developing on the same thing, you start stomping on each other's code, and we can't let that happen. And then the other piece we had to work on a whole lot is we couldn't let one team develop a point solution for just part of the business. So if, for instance, one of our sales groups is working on a new feature in an app, and all the other sales groups can use it, we needed to make sure that they built that feature for the whole enterprise. Maybe there's a little bit of work to finish it at the end for everybody else, but you couldn't build it one time over here and then have to build it over here and then have to build it over here, because now we're inefficient again. Next thing we did is we took all that well-defined intent and we broke it down with the goal of being sprintly. I thought we coined that term. Turns out we did not. We'll talk about it later. But the goal is our sprints are every 2 weeks, so we tried to get the features contained into a 2-week sprint. Sometimes we got it, sometimes we didn't, but the goal is 2 weeks. And then that way we can start shipping products every 2 weeks. And then also we had boards. We are a Jira shop. We started creating the Jira boards so that we can see the stuff, the work, moving through the system. And more importantly, you could see where the work was not moving through the system. And then the leadership could come in and help figure out what the problem is and fix it. And finally, in order to make all of this happen, we needed governance. This is the foundation on which everything we did is based. We installed a very good process, as you can see. You can see everything that we're going to do. We knew what got you into one of these phases, what got you out of one of these phases. And the beauty here is we also defined very clearly roles and responsibilities. I know people have heard that one before. We'll talk about that part a little bit more when we get into, here's the early results. At first, it was really tough. It was really tough. I know there's some GreenSky people here that wanted to pop my head off my shoulders as that evil VP of product many times. Some of them even worked for me. But we had to reestablish trust because all that stress that we had in the beginning, that really strained some relationships. And so we kind of had to put it back together. And then that's where the roles and responsibilities and more than a few happy hours came into play, where we had everybody crashing the project. And so we had to take our product team, our product owner team, and we had to pull them out of the dev team. And so you got to let the devs dev. That's what they're here to do. That's what they're good at. Let them do it. You guys need to make sure that you're getting everything ready for the devs so when this sprint is over, they have something left to do. Don't ever let them go hungry. And then we had to take the product managers, and we had to pull them out of the product owner team and say, hey, product owner team's got it. You got to trust them. Go get with your business. Make sure you understand what they actually need. What are the problems they're trying to solve? And build intent around that so your product team, your product owner team, can decompose it. So we got going. Marty and everybody warned us that this is going to be a tough first go at it. They were not lying. The initial sprints were not what you would call traditionally successful. Some of them outright failed, and that's okay. This is a scorecard that we put together for one of our first teams on one of our first sprints. Not a lot of green. There's more yellow and red everywhere, but what we did is we celebrated the wins. First thing we did is we were just happy that they got the first sprint done. And in a mature, agile organization, which we were not at that point, and still aren't, we would be like, oh my God, only 38% of your stories were completed. But here, we were running, giving everybody high fives. We're like, you got 38% done on your first try. That is awesome. And the best part is when they did the next sprint 2 weeks later, this team, if I remember correctly, got just over 50%. So not only did they get 50% this time, which we celebrated, but they got better. They iterated, they got a little bit better, and that's what we were trying to do. And now we've got momentum building. I don't know where Marty ran off to. Marty was our engagement lead. He always preached only 3 sprints are ready backlog. 3 sprints ready backlog. I just want to point out we had 12.6. As a product person, that warms my heart because I know never will a dev team go hungry. But I know that's too many. So let's go to 10 months later. Same scorecard, same team, ocean of green. 189% warms my green heart. The neat thing here is now that they're hitting all their sprint commitments, predictability is improved. Transparency, because they have it here, and everybody can see these metrics, transparency is improved. The business is becoming a fan. I think when you look at this, we have this other circle down here, the red ones. We have a problem where now the dev teams are out sprinting the product teams. In the immortal words of the famous Agile practitioner and philosopher Jay-Z, I got 99 problems, but my dev team is not one of them. One of my 99 problems was my product team now. So now we are growing and trying to figure out how we can keep up, because like I said, the demand is insatiable. Additionally, our complexity was reduced. We took the big stuff, we made it small. So we started de-risking the really complex projects. And the neat thing here is as we're building stuff every 2 weeks, we're finding those skeletons in the closet and we're fixing them right there. So what this doesn't show is by doing this, inherently quality just went up. Also, our head of quality put in more hours than I care to count, making sure it did, a lot to be attributed there. But quality went up and complexity was reduced. And now we're making an iterative approach and everything is starting, you can see, we're starting to get more stuff out the door. This chart here is everything we deployed to production. So it counts the big projects, but it also counts patches, maintenance, bug fixes, the whole 9 yards. Let's see what happens when you get to the big rocks. We're also increasing the number of projects that are going out the door. And cycle time is shortened, and that's because we've taken the big stuff and we've broken it down into small stuff. So the business is starting to use these features before you get to the end of the large project, and now the company can take stuff to market faster and start putting a little more daylight between us and the competition. So what are the benefits? The hard benefits we don't know. This is all estimated here, but we believe that because we're now getting better predictability, our quality has gone up. We have earlier ROI because now we're putting features to market before the whole thing is ready to go. The product fit is better. We have the business and technology and product. We're in the room every 2 weeks. So now you don't get that, ooh, good effort. They're actually excited, and maybe we missed it by a little bit, but we can fix it in the next sprint. And also, we have lower costs because, like I said, stuff is getting tested. We're getting the defects out faster. We're not going into these huge regression suites. And then also we have innovation. Because we have the business and technology together, what happens is they're starting to challenge each other. So the business is saying, hey, IT, make sure you think about my business this way when you're designing it. And IT can go back to business and be like, do you know that the system can do this already? And you're starting to see some innovation. So what I have here is a metric I'm calling budget efficiency. I kind of made it up. But what it means is we believe if we had stayed on the status quo, we could have gotten the same amount of work done. We probably could have gotten it done in the same amount of time, but we probably would have had to add 2 or 3 more development and product teams running waterfall to get us to the same place, and that probably would have cost us north of $3 million. So the favorite part here, for me at least, is that priorities actually changed a little bit less frequently. But when they did, it was okay. Did anybody remember there was a metric here when my product team was having 1.7 sprints of ready backlog? There was also a metric right below it that was a little bit covered up. It was stale backlog, which is stuff, it was 3.9 was the number on there. So we'll call it 4. What happened there is we had our number 1 priority. It was getting ready to go into dev, and an opportunity came up. And so what did we do? We just took our ready sprints and we pushed them down in the portfolio or in the backlog, and we did the new thing, and those sprints became stale. The neat part here is once we were finished, we brought it back up, we dusted it off, we look at our epic briefs, and what we do, we read them, we made sure they were still correct, fixed a few spelling errors. Then we looked at our features and made sure they were still correct. And then we adjusted any of the sprints that needed to be adjusted to account for the fact that we've done a couple deployments. And we had the teams repoint it. And we have a process for that. We have governance for that. We have ceremonies for that. And so it was relatively easy. Now think about what it would have been. Like I said, 4 sprints, 2 weeks each. That's 8 weeks of work that we just dusted off and got right back in the mix. What if we had been 8 weeks into development when we had done that? I don't have to imagine that because that happened a lot. But now it doesn't. And that is the beauty is now we have a system that is built to support the DNA of our company. We know things are going to change. To think that they're not going to change is naive. So we've now aligned our delivery system with the needs of the business. So are we better than we used to be? Absolutely. Are we doing the most? Are we doing it the best? Are we doing it the fastest? Not by a long shot. But our delivery system, we continue to focus on improving. And we're doing it just like we do our projects. We're doing it iteratively in small bits. We're making small improvements. So every day, we're doing it a little bit more. We're doing it a little bit better. And we're doing it a little bit faster. Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure.